I wish you had stayed long enough to see who I became. The person I am now feels like someone you were always waiting for, someone you hoped I would grow into, someone I didn't know how to be when you were still here. It's strange how people leave right before everything changes. As if life waits for someone to walk away before it finally begins to shift. Back then, I didn't understand myself the way I do now. I didn't know how to communicate, how to open up, how to stop pushing people away when I needed them the most. You saw the confused version of me, the scared version of me, the version still trying to figure out how to hold on to something without breaking it in the process. And sometimes I wonder, if you had stayed a little longer, would you have liked the person I became? Because now I know how to love without fear. I know how to talk instead of shutting down. I know how to be present instead of disappearing into myself. I know how to hold someone without worrying about losing them. All the things you wished I could do, I learned them after you left. It hurts in a quiet way. Not because you're gone, but because you never got to meet the version of me that you were helping me grow into. I think about the nights we spent arguing over the same things, the same fears, the same silence between us. You kept telling me I didn't let you in, and I kept pretending I didn't understand what you meant, but I did. I just didn't know how to fix it back then. I was afraid of letting anyone see the real me, afraid of being vulnerable, afraid that if I showed you everything, you'd leave anyway. Ironically, you left because I didn't show you enough, and that's something I've had to carry quietly. After you left, I had no choice but to face myself. The parts of me that were scared, the parts of me that were defensive, the parts of me that kept love at a distance, even when I wanted it more than anything. Loss is a teacher no one wants, but everyone learns from. And I learned slowly, painfully. Honestly, I grew, I changed, I became softer, more patient, more open. I learned how to say what I feel without waiting for everything to fall apart first. I learned how to listen without preparing for the worst. I learned how to love without holding my breath. And somehow, I became the person you always believed I could be, the person you waited for, the person I wish you could see now. Sometimes I imagine a version of us where you stayed long enough to witness the change, where you saw me become calmer, kinder, more whole, where you saw me finally understand everything you were trying to tell me. And it breaks me in a soft, quiet way, because I know we might have had a chance. Not the version of us that existed back then, but the version that could have existed. Here now, with who I am today, you left before I learned how to stay, before I learned how to love without fear, before I realized how to choose someone completely, and I know it wasn't your fault. You left because you didn't know I could change. You left because I didn't give you a reason to believe I would. You left because the version of me you knew wasn't ready for the kind of love you were offering. But sometimes I wish you had stayed just a little longer, long enough to see that I did grow, long enough to see that your patience wasn't wasted, long enough to see the person I became. The person who could have loved you the way you needed. Maybe that's the quiet tragedy of it all. Not that you left, but that you left right before everything transformed. I wish you had stayed long enough to see who I became. And maybe a small part of me will always wish that. And that's the way it ended.